It's just a face mask. It shows others that you love them and you respect them. It's just 6 feet apart. It's just 2 weeks. 2 weeks of quarantine.
Through the window? They're allowing you to do that?
I have a hard time stopping me.
Don't talk to anybody. Go home. It's just non-essential businesses and non-essential workers. It's just a career. It's just a job. It's only money. It's just a bar. It's just a restaurant. It's just to keep from overwhelming the hospitals. We just want the cases to go down. We're trying to control the curve, flatten the curve. It's just to keep others from being scared. It's just for a few more weeks. It's just a church. You could still pray. It's only a religion. It's just a prayer. It's just until we get a vaccine. It's just a bracelet. It's just an app. It's just for tracing you. It's just to let people know you're safe to be around. And just to let others know who you've been in contact with. It's just a few more months. It's just some more inmates. It's just a video.
Next person who has the sheer nerve, the sheer entitled caucasity to say all lives matter, I'm gonna show you my paper cut and say, my cut matters too.
It's just a post. It's just an email account. It's just for protecting others from hate speech. It's just for protecting others from hurt feelings. It's just a large gathering, but for protests.
Our movement is grounded in love.
It's just a few violent protests. It's just a little microchip. It's just a blood test. It's just a test. It's just a scan. It's just a prick. It's just a needle. It's only been genetically modified.
That is, some of them have side effects. I mean, and we're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms, and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
It's just an unnatural protein. It's just for medical information. It's just to store a vaccine certificate. No, you can't sue us for a vaccine. You just have to take it. It's just like a credit card. It's just a few places that don't take cash. It's just so you can travel. It's just so you can get your driver's license. It's just so you can vote. It's just mail-in voting. It's just a few more years. It's just a statue. It's just a monument. It's only our history. It's just a piece of cloth. It's only a flag. We only want your guns and your land. It's just plant-based. It's only meat. It's only an income. It's for the masses. Capitalism isn't fair for the masses. It's just your guns. You don't need to defend yourself. And it's just the police. You're already safe. It's just the military. There's nothing to defend. It's just a civil rights movement. It's just to make things fair. We just want to level the playing field. Heck, it's just your freedom.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. Not too long ago, 2 friends of mine were talking to a Cuban refugee, a businessman who had escaped from Castro. And in the midst of his story, one of my friends turned to the other and said, "We don't know how lucky we are." And the Cuban stopped and said, "How lucky you are. I had some place to escape to." And in that sentence, he told us the entire story. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism. And regardless of their sincerity, their humanitarian motives, those who would trade our freedom for security have embarked on this downward course.
It's been a couple weeks since I posted. I went to the Outer Banks. I don't have the coronavirus. I took a vacation with my family and some extended family, And I promised my niece I'd do a video on it, so I'll post a video on our little vacation for you guys. But to be honest with you, 4th of July was a bit depressing to me. We had flag burnings going on all across our country at a time when we should be celebrating our independence. And something that occurred to me over that holiday, another family member had sent out a very good article just explaining, you know, what our country is and what it means. And, you know, we're not a republic, we're not a democracy, at least not in the terms that you would deem a republic or a democracy today. What we are is a democratic constitutional republic. And that means that we're a society of people that are held together by a constitution. And that constitution lends us certain rights and freedoms as individuals. And it makes it very hard for any particular person, any particular group, particularly the masses, from taking those rights from others. And I find that interesting. Why would you want to protect people from the masses? Well, why would you want to be a part of the masses? We are individuals. That's what makes us who we are. And that's one of the things that is great about America, is that we're all individuals. It doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. It doesn't matter, you know, left or right or, you know, center. None of that matters in America. And the great thing about America is that it's a collective society of thoughts. It's not one extreme or the other extreme. It's a collective society. That Constitution, those flags that people were burning, the things that they think are keeping them from being free, keeping them from being able to succeed, are actually the very things that have enabled America to become so great, have made America the country that people want to come to. We have people all over the world that want to come to America because of the system that we live under. Everybody in America has the right to opportunity. And I'll do a different video on systemic racism, because I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. I'm not saying that that's not a real thing. But I will say that everybody does have opportunity. We have the right to opportunity. I know a lot of children who have come from backgrounds with very little, and they've been able to find their way through our current system to a higher education, to wonderful jobs. And that has been the story of America. That's not the story of other countries. That's the story of America. But I find it disturbing, I find it sad that so many people don't recognize this, that so many people have these ideologies that they want to force upon others because they feel it would be better for the masses. Well, we're not the masses. We're individuals, we're independents. We have the right to our freedoms, we have the right to succeed, we have the right to prosper, and we have the right to do that within law and order. And that is a very, very special thing. It is a very special thing, too, to be able to share in a community that has so many different perspectives and be able to put those perspectives into one turning wheel. I want to remind people that, you know, when we talk about things like doing away with the popular vote, when I was on the Outer Banks, something that that really hit home to me, and I've spent a lot of time on the Outer Banks over the years. I've been going there for 20 years now, and I've always really enjoyed that local community, that local environment. But it's very different from other environments that I've been at. It's an island. They just don't live the same lives that we do. And even here out in the country, I don't live the same life that somebody in a city does. But cities are extremely populated. And so you have a thought process of people who live in those areas that is geared towards their way of life. It's geared towards their experiences. They don't experience the things that other people experience. And we forget that when we talk about these things like popular votes, we're excluding those smaller communities that are vital to the rest of us. We all love seafood. That comes from those island and fishing communities. We all love to eat agricultural products. We wouldn't eat without them. That comes from the smaller agricultural communities. And we're willing to sacrifice those communities so that we can continue to drive cars and feel good about the environment because we did away with a few cows, just like we did away with all the ruminants that used to roam across this continent. There are so many different perspectives on so many different things, and there are so many different blocks of communities within the United States, which is why we have this thing called the Electoral College. And for those who oppose these types of things, to those who oppose this Constitution that protects so many individuals, I want to remind you that Abraham Lincoln only won 40% of the popular vote when he was elected president, and that's not including South Carolina. That put him second to the most unpopular president, John Quincy Adams. But I think that if you actually tallied the votes of every state, Lincoln was probably the most unpopular president to ever have been elected in the United States. And what's interesting, though, is that he won the Electoral College, which means that enough areas, sub-communities of the United States were able to vote him into office. And because he was voted into office, we left this state of mind that said we're graduating away from slavery, and we went with somebody who actually was able to abolish slavery. So in essence, this Constitution, this flag that so many people are out burning, is the very thing, the system is the very thing that spoke very loudly for the minority. We now live in a society, in a world where we think that the only people who can do that are an elite few, and that we need those elite few in office to take the controls away from the individuals. And it's a very scary thought. It's one that has failed throughout the world. And as we know from these systems in other countries, it has really wielded the control and the rights of the people into the hands of a select few and made them extremely powerful. We need to start standing up for what this country was founded off of. And we need to get out there and explain to people why it's so important to them. Because people are losing sight of that. People are starting to not realize what it is that they're going out and fighting for. It's not about advocacy. It's not about civil rights. It's not about helping people out. It's about political motives. It's about power. It's about removing the freedoms of the freest country in the world. When you have something as good as we have, it becomes a target. We've become a target. And if the American people don't start standing up for everything that has made this country great, we're going to lose it. It is extremely hard to change the Constitution of the United States, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. And there are a lot of people out there right now trying to push an agenda, and they're using in a disgusting manner racism, health, environment, any cause that they think that they can really get people wound up about to push their agendas. But when you read what they're actually about, it's all about taking your freedom. So think about it. Think about what you're going to do about it.